2024 brought us some incredible movies, but not every big-budget release found success at the box office. Despite having talented actors, intriguing stories, and even critical praise, some of these films couldn't bring in the numbers. What went wrong? Today, we're looking at the year's biggest movie disappointments, revealing how they performed, why they flopped, and whether any of them might still be worth watching. Let's dive in. First up, we have Arthur the King, starring Mark Wahlberg and Simu Liu in a heartwarming true story about a dog's survival against all odds. Despite a solid 70% rating from critics, Arthur the King barely broke even, grossing $40.8 million on a $19 million budget. So why didn't this touching tale attract more viewers? One theory is genre fatigue. While audiences love an uplifting story, animal-centered films often appeal to a niche crowd. This limits their reach, especially if competing against major blockbusters. Another factor could be timing. The film's release window faced tough competition from high-profile movies that pulled attention away. If the studio had opted for a holiday release, the movie might have captured more family audiences looking for an emotional story. Regardless, it's a beautiful film worth watching. Just be prepared for the tears. The First Omen, a prequel to the classic Omen franchise, earned a respectable 81% from critics, yet audiences didn't show up. It pulled in only $53.8 million against a $30 million budget. One possible reason for the lukewarm response? Franchise fatigue. The Omen series has been around for decades, and horror fans may have felt they've seen it all before. Additionally, horror prequels can be a hard sell. While fans love origin stories, they can often feel predictable when we already know the character's fate. The film's marketing leaned heavily into horror tropes that might have felt too familiar to draw in fresh viewers. However, if you're a fan of atmospheric horror, this one's worth a shot, especially on a cozy night in with the lights off. Ordinary Angels, starring Hilary Swank, was both loved by critics and audiences alike, with an 84% critic rating and an incredible 99% audience score. But it only earned $20.5 million on a $13 million budget. So why didn't it succeed financially? The answer might lie in its marketing. Branded as a faith-based film, Ordinary Angels likely appealed to a limited demographic, even though its message is universal. Some viewers might have dismissed it, thinking it was strictly religious when it's really a feel-good story about community. Had it been marketed differently, the film could have drawn a wider crowd. Even so, it's a beautifully uplifting movie that's worth a watch if you're in need of a little inspiration. Abigail put a new twist on the vampire genre, with a storyline centered around a young vampire girl who has a pulse. It earned an impressive 83% from critics, but box office numbers didn't match up, with just $42.4 million against a $28 million budget. Why didn't Abigail attract more vampire fans? One reason could be that vampire films are an oversaturated genre, making it tough for any new release to stand out. Plus, without a strong marketing push, Abigail struggled to differentiate itself from the standard vampire movie formula. Audiences may have overlooked it, thinking it was just another vampire movie, without realizing its unique twist. But if you're looking for something fresh in the vampire genre, Abigail might surprise you. The Fall Guy, starring Ryan Gosling, had action, romance, and humor, with an 82% critic rating praising its throwback vibe. Yet it fell short, making $181 million on a $125 million budget. Where did things go wrong? Some blame the high budget, which made it hard to turn a profit. Nostalgia is popular, but rebooting an 80s TV show isn't guaranteed to attract today's audiences. Also, Gosling's charm might not have been enough to carry a movie that relied heavily on nostalgia, a factor that typically resonates with more older viewers. The film might have been better positioned as a streaming release to reach viewers who remember the original show. If you're a fan of Gosling or love the 80s, this could still be a fun watch. Madam Web, part of the Spider-Man universe, looked promising but grossed just $100 million against an $80 million budget, earning an 11% critic rating. What went wrong? Fans and critics both felt that the film didn't respect the character's comic origins, with a confusing script and story direction that didn't align with what fans expected. The Spider-Man universe is beloved, but Madam Web struggled to connect. Missteps in casting or storyline can alienate fans, and in a franchise as big as Spider-Man, there's little room for error. Watch it for the star power, but don't expect a comic-accurate storyline. Directed by Ishana Night Shyamalan, The Watchers followed Dakota Fanning's character trapped in a forest surrounded by mysterious creatures. But with a $30 million budget, it only made $33 million, earning a poor 32% from critics. Some think The Watchers suffered from unfair comparisons to Ishana's father, M. Night Shyamalan. Others questioned whether her directorial debut got greenlit due to nepotism, which added negative buzz. In horror, suspense and originality are key, and many found the plot predictable rather than thrilling. If you're curious about the Shyamalan family's next generation, give it a shot. Just temper those expectations. Furiosa, the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, had the potential for success, with a 90% critic rating and incredible action scenes. But with a massive $168 million budget, it only grossed $173 million. What happened here? Recasting Furiosa with Anya Taylor-Joy, despite her immense talent, may have left audiences missing Charlize Theron. Prequels are also a tough sell. They often struggle to attract new audiences and don't always satisfy longtime fans. Budgeting so heavily for a prequel was a big risk that didn't quite pay off, but Mad Max fans should definitely check it out for the high-octane action they know and love. Lisa Frankenstein, a quirky horror romance, was unique but couldn't deliver at the box office, earning just $10 million on a $13 million budget. Critics gave it 52%, but it found love from audiences, with an 81% score. The poor marketing strategy and unfortunate Super Bowl weekend release didn't help. Horror comedy is tricky to pull off, as it has to balance scares with humor. The concept may have been too niche for mainstream appeal, but it could still be a hidden gem for fans of dark, offbeat comedies. It's a fun watch if you're looking for something different.
You all came highly recommended. You know the rules.
Look what I found.
Who do we have here?
Burning. Lisa! Does he have more of a basketball bod or a football bod?
I have a situation. I want to look pretty for mommy.
Well, maybe just a little off the cheeks.
The mic's too high.
In 3, 2, 1, action.
Hey, come on. Get your stuff. Let's go.
So there you have it, 2024's biggest box office disappointments so far. Each of these movies may have struggled to find success, but they still bring something unique to the table. Whether you're in the mood for a tearjerker, a thriller, or a quirky comedy, you might find a hidden gem among these box office flops. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which of these films you'd still like to check out.